Hi, everybody. This is Elisa McClaskey.
And Bill Needham.
And we're here today just to give you a little bit more information about what we do and how we can help you out in your real estate buying and selling needs.
Hey guys, and I'm Derek. I'm so excited to have you guys both here today. Listen, I know you guys are some of the world's foremost authorities in residential real estate, especially in the Grand Valley and the areas surrounding that. So Bill and Elisa, thanks for being here, guys, first and foremost. Share with me, who specifically is this for? Who can you help out there the most?
Buyers and sellers in general are going to be helped by this. Specifically, buyers that are moving in from out of state are going to get a lot of information from us. Both Bill and I have lived in the area between 15 and 20 years. We know it very well. So those moving from out of state, even out of town, it's a little different on the Front Range than it is on the Western Slope. And so we are going to be able to help those fellow Coloradans that are wanting some more information about the Grand Junction area. We're familiar with the market and what is required. For instance, it's a pretty hot market over in Grand Junction, and so you need to be pre-qualified and ready to move now, or have to move now, or have to sell now. We do have a hot market, and so we want to reach those people that need some guidance as far as either the area or the market in general, and we can provide that information. And then, of course, Bill's expertise in knowing all of the information that's related to contracts and that kind of thing is going to be, we can help those people that are coming in.
And it's actually kind of interesting, too, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from. We oftentimes think California, because I know people are leaving California, they come to a little bit more relaxed state here. But we recently had also, besides California, we've had Texas, we've had Arizona, we've had Virginia, we've had Georgia was the most recent one. Wyoming just came down. So
Sure.
Anybody that is going to be moving in the area and needs some help in figuring out where they want to live and what kind of house would be appropriate for them should contact us for sure. Pay attention to this.
Our area is very appealing to people coming into this area. So if you're not familiar with Grand Junction, some of the things that are bringing people to our area are mountain biking and hiking and just the outdoors in general, because we do have a relatively mild climate for Colorado. Plus, we have all of those great outside activities that I think draw a lot of people to Colorado. We have a ski resort 45 minutes away from here, and it's not going to be busy like Breckenridge and Vail and things like that. Maybe not quite as much snow, but Grand Junction is just drawing a lot of people because of the activities and the things that we can offer here. And probably the biggest thing for those retirees is the quality of life here. It's a slower pace, and you're not going to have the busyness that you would have in a larger city. And so that's very appealing for some people that are moving here.
I will even counteract that comment about maybe the snow not being as good here as elsewhere.
We have had that difference in the past, haven't we?
Well, and the reason I'll say, because I am a skier, and I can remember times riding up on the lift with people that had come over from other areas of Colorado because we had the best snow in the state. So it really does depend. We don't always have the best snow, but there are certainly some years that we have fantastic snow.
Yeah, that cost of living in that area is obviously a lot more sustainable than a lot of parts of the country. With so much to be able to access just there in a very short drive. It's beautiful.
And, and it is kind of interesting, too, because you talk about, I mentioned California. I also see an awful lot of people moving over here from the Denver area. They're wanting to get out of the big hustle bustle of the big city and the traffic and just too many people. But they love Colorado, so they come over here and get a much more relaxed lifestyle.
Right. One thing I'll also mention that we can, our ideal client would be that seller that is trying to sell in a seller's market, but then they're turning around and buying in a seller's market too. And that's where having a real estate agent that knows the market and is able to work with the other agents in the buying and selling process. So when they do get a contract on their home, they can move and be looking for something for them to move into too. And there's a little bit of coordination that goes into that process. So having a realtor on your side is definitely somewhat a benefit.
And I think it's a little bit more than a little bit of coordination. It takes a lot of coordination. Having just gone through a couple where we were coordinating a person that was selling their home and moving up into a larger home, you know, nobody likes to move, particularly from the physical standpoint.
Right.
And so you try to coordinate things the best you can. We actually did one recently where we closed on the sale of their house and closed on the purchase of their house. And we actually got it all done in the paperwork in less than a half an hour. I was absolutely amazed that we got done like that. Now, the preparation to get to that half-hour closing was a heck of a lot more than that. Right. And it took a lot of coordination, but it certainly can be done if you've got the good realtor.
And that's also the relationships that Bill has developed with the title company and, you know, the mortgage people and all that kind of thing too, you know, having those relationships established within Grand Junction, you know, if they are working with someone local, it does, I think, expedite the process because we have established those relationships already and it's easy to work with them. And they want to, you know, keep Bill as a client themselves too.
Yeah, I believe when it boils down to everything in life, really, it's about the relationships we build with people, especially in our industries and that we are experts in like you guys are. And having those, it's just amazing. Things get done quicker. So having the right people on your team literally supporting you all the way through in such a big purchase, which is one of the largest purchases that people make. So there's a lot of emotions flying. There's a lot of things, and I know you guys can handle that. You know, we're going to talk about a lot of very powerful stuff today when it comes to the residential real estate, especially pertaining to these buyers and sellers. But what are the three big things that you're able to really help these people out with today?
The three big things that we can help people out with today would be, number one, would be getting that pre-approval because it's absolutely necessary. We do have a good working relationship with I'll say several lenders, although I've got a couple that are particular favorites because I know I can count on them when the time comes to it. So it's getting that pre-approval. The other area, another thing that we can help with is the area of relocation, especially when we have people come from out of town. Perhaps they aren't familiar with the area of Grand Junction itself, and they don't know what advantages there might be to be in one part of town versus another. And so anyway, so we can work with people coming from out of town. In fact, I make a distinct program of when people come from out of town that don't know the area, that I will set up a series of showings for that first day, that I will have some to the east part of town, some to the west, some to the north, so they can get a feel for the area. And then hopefully starting on the second or third day, we will be able to zoom in on the area of town that they like and be able to find exactly what it is they're looking for.
I'm going to jump in here again and toot Bill's horn a little bit for him. Bill was a business owner prior to his career in real estate, and he worked in the California area and has been negotiating contracts for. Do we want to reveal how many years?
It's been a few. I actually did negotiate my first multi-million-dollar contract back in the 70s, so I've been doing it for quite a while.
And just in the 10 months that I've been working with Bill, I've seen you know, negotiations go very well because he does have a knack at it, and so everything gets under contract real quickly, and then everyone's happy, and we just, you know, continue on through the closing. Bill is very attention to detail, so he's always watching those dates and deadlines that need to be met, and so that's very important because if you don't meet those deadlines, then your contract is void and you start all over again and you have an unhappy client. So yeah, definitely all those little finer points Bill is on top of.
Yeah, being in the real estate industry and understanding how emotional those type of things can really be out there is that contractual time from the time they say, yes, I want this house, to the time you actually close. That's generally when all the chaos starts. And so having somebody who's been experienced and literally negotiating for years is a huge plus. And I love, Bill, that you said that, you know, if somebody's coming in from out of town, that you actually set up showings, all around town, because that makes a big difference. And also knowing that you only work with people because they have to be pre-qualified to be able to have the ability. You can actually literally be a one-stop shop for them and cover all those needs is what it sounds like from what I'm hearing. So what is the problem?
Too, because in that first day, I've had a couple instances where we found that perfect house that first day. And if the buyers had not been pre-qualified, by the time they got around to getting the pre-qualification done and that type of thing, it might have been too late, as quick as today's market is.
I can see that happening, especially in Colorado with so many people that are wanting to move there. So share with me, Bill and Lisa, what are some of the problems that you see people experiencing that just show up and think they can buy a house, or just problems in general that they're having out there?
Number one has always been people not getting pre-qualified ahead of time. But that's pretty well straightforward today. I've got lenders that we can get pre-qualified in a fairly quick fashion, so that can be done, but it would be better if they were prepared once they got here. Usually we'll maybe talk before they come, and even before they come, I'll have them get in contact with a local lender whom I prefer to work with rather than somebody remote, and get them pre-qualified. Another weird thing that we run into, I say weird because to me it seems so just so natural that you would be prepared, is having the money for the earnest money. On contracts today, you actually do have to put forth earnest money to show your earnest in wanting to purchase the property. And I've had more than one occasion where people have come to town without their checkbook. And it's kind of hard to write a check for the earnest money when you don't have your checkbook. And so I urge people to do that. We've been able to get around those situations when it's happened like that, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult. So, obviously bring your checkbook.
Great.
Another area that you run into pretty often, obviously, is knowing what it is that you really do need versus what you want as far as the home goes. Especially if you've got people moving from different areas, that can be a difference because of our price points and the style of housings that we have. And oftentimes people maybe are moving from a large house where they had several kids, where today they're moving here for retirement and they don't have a couple of kids, but maybe they still need an extra spare bedroom and that type of thing for, when someone does come to visit. So it's just a matter of talking over those things and being sure they are prepared when they get here. So when we do find that house that they want, there won't be any delays and won't have somebody else that maybe would jump in front of them and purchase that house.
Mm-hmm. I had a woman call in. This is kind of a unique situation, but it has some statistics that I'll let Bill share with you. People will run into oftentimes big problems if they try to do a for sale by owner. I ran into a lady and she said that she was trying to move here because she had purchased a property in another state. She had done it, with this really nice gentleman, and then he ended up going south on the deal. And so they are now having to go to court. It's going to cost them just as much in lawyer fees to get their property, and they're pretty much throwing up their hands as far as not being able to purchase a property now, because now their credit is ruined because of the things that were happening associated with this deal falling through. And so, having someone on your side to watch out for your best interest is something that's very important, because this is, like you had mentioned, the biggest investment that people usually will be making in their life. And even if it's land, this was just land. And so you think, oh, well, it's not that big a deal. It's just land. But you can get into some trouble if you don't know what you're doing. So having an expert that knows all the T's to cross and I's to dot is going to be in your best interest.
And that's horrible when you hear something like that happening, because, I can know that I would have been able to prevent that just from being able to dot the I's and cross the T's and be sure that everything is done in the correct fashion. Just kind of as a statistic, I think that Elisa was mentioning, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but these are pretty close. The percentage of lawsuits that come about because of a real estate contract or buying a house, approximately 86% of them are homes that involve a for sale by owner. And it just gives you an idea. The percentage of homes actually sold by a for sale by owner are something like, at the most, maybe 10%. But if they have 86% of the lawsuits going on, that tells you right away that there's something amiss.
Yeah, you could run into some big problems.
Yeah, it really sounds like that is very eye-opening because I believe that to be true because when we try and take things into our own hands and we're not professionals at it, then that's where the T's are not crossed and the I's are not dotted. And obviously, somebody showing up with, earnest money in hand is a big deal. And especially in a market that is moving, because there's going to be multiple offers, I'm sure, coming behind that. And having that qualification is super huge. It's big problems to be aware of for anybody. That's a beautiful thing to know. Thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like you guys know what you're talking about. Just give me a little background on both you two. How long Bill, you've been in the industry, at least I think I heard you say 10 months before, and just give me a little breakdown about how long you guys have been consulting and been expertise in this area.
Well, part of my experience, I've actually been involved in an indirect way with home building back since the 70s. I used to work with developers and that type of thing when they were developing the property and getting homes ready to sell. As far as being directly involved in the buying and selling of real estate, it's just been the last 6 years. It was after I'd moved here to Colorado, and I just thought that I would enjoy it, and I have enjoyed it very much. Took a little bit of time to learn the whole process and learn the legalities of it and that type of thing. And like Elisa mentioned, she actually came to work with me about 10 months ago and has been a quick study and everything, and will be going forth and getting her real estate license somewhere in the not too distant future. Her background before that, I'll let her talk to you about a little bit.
My degree is in environmental science, and coincidentally, Bill's has an environmental background as well. So maybe we both have that science mind, which is why we get along so well. I was working then in the environmental field for a couple of years, cleaning up gas station leaks is what I did. Very interesting job, but I got pulled into another career, just being that one of the business owners in Grand Junction wanted me to come on board with their company. So he recruited me and I did sales for a while for him. Then I decided that I wanted to be a mom. And so I had my son Dragon, who is a wonderful 5-year-old, perfect little boy.
Perfect.
Not biased at all. That's the honest truth. So now he is about to go to school, and so I'm getting back into the working world.
Well, that sounds amazing. So it's like you guys have a lot in common, ironically, and you guys both also have experience in dealing in the real estate world and helping people get through this process. And share with me a little bit about how your guys' experience can really help people get through this actual process, because it is a process nonetheless. I mean, how long do you generally work with people once you first meet them?
Boy, that will vary, won't
Boy,
it, Bill?
I will say that will vary all over the point.
Bill has examples of years to weeks.
I had one, that would have been last year. That's right, because I took her to the airport she was going away for Christmas. Because with her, we had kind of kept in contact for a couple of years. She had expressed some interest in buying some property. She just hadn't quite gotten ready yet, and primarily she has not, because she actually owned another property actually over in Telluride that she wanted to sell, and she wasn't exactly sure that she wanted to make the complete move over here yet, although physically she had done it a couple of years before. But anyway, so that one actually did, we kept in contact for a couple of years, and finally she came to me and said, Bill, I'm ready. So let's go out and find that property that I want. And so we got that taken care of. I've had others where they've contacted me, were interested in moving, and came in, we met, and we were in or under contract actually in less than 24 hours. So it can be all over the board. I mean, the long ones and the short ones probably average out to where you're working with someone, I'm guessing maybe in a range of 3, 4, or 5 months, somewhere in that range.
And what I'm hearing really too is that you guys talk about building relationships with people. Although the transaction process may be short, but it's really about having those relations long term. I think I heard you say that you actually took a client or a possible client to the airport around Christmas, which is truly an amazing thing. I don't know if I've ever heard a realtor actually do that for somebody. So
let me tell you a little bit about that, because it was actually very interesting. Because I typically give a Christmas gift to everybody that I did a transaction with that year.
Personally delivered.
Personally delivered. And I called her up and said, hey, I'd like to stop by and give you my little gift and all that type of thing. She said, well, I'd love to. I'm heading to the airport. Why don't you come over now and you need to take me to the airport? I said, well, yeah, why not? I'll do it. Anyway, so it was kind of funny that it worked out that way.
Yeah. And that, if I can toot Bill's horn a little bit again, you know, we have a couple of clients that we've worked with, one in particular here recently, that where a brother and a sister lost their father, and their father was the one who owned the home. And the brother did live here, sister lived out of state, so that kind of, you know, made it a little bit more difficult Chris. As far as dealing.
Yeah, that was Chris, and I helped buy a house a couple years ago.
Yeah, and that was Chris and his sister, and you know, there was some how should we say, some issues with the home. And so we had to get carpet torn out. We had to get the house painted and that kind of thing. And, you know, Bill and I arranged all those contractors. When Chris wasn't able to meet with the contractor, we were going to the home and we were helping out, you know, getting contractors in and out of the home. And so that's where, you know, going above and beyond is not out of the norm. Bill and I actually both really like helping people. And so that's something that really makes this job enjoyable for us, you know. So it made their life a little bit easier in a difficult time, and that was great. And then coincidentally, his stepmom now is looking for a house, and so, you know, we're working with her now. So that's really great when you can help one family member and then they feel so comfortable with you that they're going to recommend another family member. And that, quite honestly, is the best thing that we can get, is a recommendation, because that means we did a good job for you. You're happy, and, you know, you're in a home that you enjoy.
And I have to tout Elisa a lot on that one too, on that one where we had to go in and get the house ready to sell, because she did an awful lot of the work as far as getting the contractors organized and all that type of thing. And it did work out fantastically well.
So it sounds like you guys are really, it's just normal, the standard quo, if you will, to go above and beyond just in the stories that you shared, pardon me, and creating these world-class experiences for your clients. It's not about, hey, we're just trying to sell you a house. It's about, hey, how can we really benefit you out there, and how can we not benefit just you, but maybe your family members, to make it easy, because life does happen. And then talk about doing emotional things, and then all of a sudden you lose a family member and all of that, and that creates this type of thing. You want somebody on your side that really cares about people, and I love hearing that. So share with me, guys, what are the things that you see buyers and sellers doing most frequently that they think is the key word, that they think will actually improve their situation, but the reality of it, it doesn't fix the problem at all?
With sellers, probably the biggest thing we see, frankly, is they want to price their home too high. They see that the market is extremely strong, and they say, well, then I'm going to raise my price to a certain point that, well, we've got room to negotiate. The problem with that, though, is if they price their home too high, they will actually even lose people from even coming to view the property, because people will look at it and say, no, that's just too high. The fact is, if they price it properly, you know, when we do give them a very complete CMA, or competitive market analysis, as far as what the proper pricing would be or what range it should be in, they will often see competing offers. And when they see competing offers, that means then that they can oftentimes see a higher price than what they were asking for anyway. But that's one major thing that I see with the home sellers.
And Bill has actually been to some appraisal classes just so that he is more understanding and aware of what an appraiser is going to assess the house. So he'll know exactly where that house needs to be priced, first of all, to sell. And then once you do get under contract, if it has to be appraised, he's already done his due diligence in getting that price as close as possible. And so there isn't any issues then with a lender coming in and getting an appraisal that doesn't match what the home has been sold for.
Okay, so that sounds like the actual selling person. What about the buying person? What is the thing that they do most frequently they think that, you know, is going to mess up? And how does that really affect their buying or selling experience?
Well, with the seller, the biggest thing I might see, it's almost the exact opposite of the coin in that they want to maybe try to lowball their offer on the property. And if they lowball the offer of the property, it can do one of two things. Number one, obviously you can lose it to a competing offer that someone comes in with a more reasonable price point. And number two, some sellers will really take objection to someone that comes in with a lowball offer and won't even reply to it. And so you've completely lost any possibility of getting that house at all.
So it sounds like, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Well, I think another issue that buyers sometimes will do is instead of interviewing a few realtors and deciding on which one is going to work best with them, which one is going to meet their needs, personality, it is expected. Interview, that's fine. Once you interview, then make a decision and focus on that person and move forward. If you keep hopping around from realtor to realtor, then you are going to be wasting your time, most likely. You're going to be seeing the same properties. You're not going to be moving forward because it's just nearly impossible to achieve what you want to achieve by jumping around so much. So interview and then decide and then just move forward, and that's going to be your best option.
So something that both of you had mentioned, I think is a wonderful thing, is the fact that you've actually went out and got some additional training in the appraisal world. And I love how you guys are really in there to help benefit your people. And that's the type of things that really helps people are looking to buy a house, those little things you just don't think about. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So now we've talked about what they think they should be doing that will fix it, but where do you actually want them to focus their energy and their efforts on when they're looking to buy a new home or sell a new home?
So, with buyers, we really want them to pay some particular attention to the house price point, what style of home, number of bedrooms, whether it be a ranch, how big of a lot they might want, how much do they want to take care of. We get some people that say, well, I don't want neighbors too close by, but they don't want to have to take care of a 2 or 3 acre lot. So, the neighbors are conversely going to be pretty close to you if that's the case. So you've got to kind of focus in and really decide what it is you want. And I oftentimes try to get over that reluctance. I do what I call a slice and dice oftentimes with buyers. I actually bring them in and we'll look at the complete MLS, and I'll slice and dice the data to see what various options will do to their selection process, what it will do to the number of possibilities they have, what it will do to the price of the home, because the price of the home is almost always one of the utmost important items.
And that's why they need to get pre-qualified first as well, too, so then they even know where they can start searching.
Well, the pre-qualification does a couple of things. Number one, obviously it tells them the amount that they can go to. There's nothing worse, frankly, than someone going out and looking at a house and falling in love with it, and then they go and find out, well, gee, I can't afford the loan to get that. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And then number two is the thing that can happen is it's just because they might be pre-qualified for a certain amount doesn't mean they have to go that high. They know at least what they can afford. But if they don't feel comfortable spending that money, well, that's okay too. We'll work exactly with those numbers.
They can find that monthly amount that they feel comfortable with paying for the mortgage.
That preparation always makes a big deal, and knowing numbers up front really allows people to be aware of as opposed to be surprised. Right. Especially when it's coming to finding your dream house. Again, it's such an emotional purchase that there's nothing more deflating than going into a house and going, I found my dream house, and realize you can't qualify for it, or it's just out of your budget range. And
you don't oftentimes realize how emotional it is until you get into it. I mean, I just don't know how many times I'll be sitting there showing property and you'll just see the smile come on their face and you say, that's the one that they want. They just finally found their property. And so it is very much an emotional situation.
So share with me some examples of people that you guys have given this amazing experience to.
It's been amazing. He's kind of a godsend because we're first-time home buyers. So it's kind of nice to have somebody very knowledgeable about the field and in tune with what we're looking for in a house. And he's very flexible, which helps because I'm a full-time mom and he's a full-time employee. So it's working out great.
I worked with Casio. He actually was a buyer from California. He, gave me a listing. He gave me a testimonial, and he says, absolutely amazing realtor, professional, knowledgeable, and informative in every way, and just easy to work with. Helped me through every step of the process and truly took the time to go over any concerns or questions I had throughout the process. I highly recommend Bill for any first-time buyers. To experienced buyers, you're in good hands. The fact is, it's interesting too with Casio, his parents and his sister and his wife are going to be moving here too. And so because of the experience that he had with me on that one, I'm going to get a couple more transactions that go along. A recent one I did was with Sandy and Doug Boroff. I first made, he said with me, I first made contact with Bill in early 2017. I was immediately impressed with Bill's knowledge of real estate in the Grand Junction market. I told Bill I wasn't sure when I was going to purchase a townhome, but wanted to sometime before the end of 2017. Bill took my email address and continually kept me in the loop on new properties as they hit the market and sometimes before. We found the right property that worked well for us, and the entire buying process and transaction went very smooth. Bill had a no pressure type of selling approach, and he truly wanted to find us the right property. I would definitely recommend Bill to anyone looking for real estate in the Grand Junction area. And the interesting part about that particular one, though, was he was actually buying a townhome for his two daughters that were going here to the university and have a place for them to live off campus. As time goes on, they themselves are talking about moving over this way and maybe living in there, but that's in the future.
And that reminded me, that's another additional resource that we have, is we can send clients listings, and it'll automatically update the listings as they become available. So if they are looking for a certain property, we'll know as soon as it comes on the MLS, and they'll get notification of that as well.
Well, obviously, you guys have clearly demonstrated how you can help homeowners or people that are, looking to buy their dream home through this amazing world-class experience. And I know out there, anybody that's watching this, they're going to love knowing that they're in the right hands with the right people. So what is the best way for anybody to reach out to you guys so they can work with you specifically?
So if you are ready to purchase a home right now, sell a home even, you can get in contact with us by pushing the button right below this video. We would absolutely love to work with you. We want to bring our skills to you so that we can benefit you and make this process the easiest that we can. We like to say we're with you every step of the way, because we literally are. We can help you from before you find the house to after you sell the house, and we would just really love to create a relationship with you.
So I think that's amazing, really being able to benefit people and bring in your team and your guys' expertise, and most importantly, you're caring about people to the table and really get them from where they are now to where they want to be, which is in a new home, as seamlessly and as unemotionally as possible, so it doesn't get a little too chaotic, right? So right. Why is it they should schedule a call with you today?
Today, the reason is, frankly, is because the market's fast. The houses oftentimes are selling. Well, sometimes they're not even hitting the MLS. I've had a couple that I've been involved with recently that because of my relationships with other realtors, we've been able to get under contract before it even got into the MLS. If a house is properly priced and it is attractive, it'll be under contract typically in a matter of 1 or 2 days. And so you just got to do it now.
So it sounds like things are moving pretty quick. So it's important, if they're ready to buy right now, which I'm sure they are if they're watching this, is they need to click that button below and get in touch with you so they don't miss out on the opportunities that are coming around. So Bill, I know that you're obviously, both of you are very busy in that market right now. And I know that your time is valuable, so I appreciate you being here today. When somebody does call up to chat with you, what does that look like? Is there a fee involved? I mean, what is your time really worth to spend a few moments on the phone to help people out?
Well, we'll spend more than a few moments on the phone. We'll spend as much time as it might take to go through and discuss your particular situation. There'll be absolutely no cost to that standpoint. In fact, if you're a buyer, the fact is you're not going to be paying me anything anyway. almost always the seller that pays the commission.
Good to know. So tell me, who is this not a good fit for if somebody's watching this video right now?
If you're not ready to get pre-qualified, preferably be pre-qualified already, but if you're not ready to get pre-qualified, and if you're not ready to make the move to Grand Junction, or make the move to your larger house, or make the move out of your apartment, whatever the case may be, don't push that button.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, absolutely. Makes sense. So by them not, if I'm a home buyer or I'm looking to buy a home, I'm looking to sell a home, and I don't actually take advantage of the market right now, what happens?
What happens is you lose the potential to get that good price if you're selling your home now and you get it quickly, or if you are looking on the buy side, you're going to get hit with a double whammy. First, prices are going to be going up, and number two is interest rates are going up. So between those two, you're going to be paying much more for that house, and so you want to get it done now.
That makes a lot of sense with what's happening. So Bill, what is the old way that just isn't working any longer, that status quo?
Well, the old way that's not working any longer is people kind of meandering and making their decision, kind of just going out and maybe driving the neighborhoods to see what's for sale. Besides taking a lot of time and a lot of gasoline money, the fact is probably by the time you get back and contact the realtor, that house may be under contract anyway. So you need to be able to act promptly. It's just the status quo, just not doing it right away, just means you're going to not get anywhere forward.
And I would think, just to add in here too, from what you've shared with me today, is that having pre-qualified, all right?
If you're pre-qualified, that's going to just save that much more time. If you're not pre-qualified, again, I certainly know some excellent lenders that can get you pre-qualified quite quickly.
So if you need a suggestion, or if we can just go ahead and jump right into the process, help you, you're ready, we would love to start that conversation with you today and start that relationship and get you into the home of your dreams, or help you in the process of selling your home. You know, we really look forward to just meeting anyone that could use our help. So please click below and we can get in touch with you, and you can do that today.
And I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today too. And we certainly look forward to helping you.
Absolutely. Thank you.